Welcome back to my channel. For today's video, we're doing urban legends from New York. The first urban legend is Cropsey. New York is the birthplace of many of America's favorite urban legend themes. The night stalking killer with a hook for a hand? Yeah, that started in New York. The hook-handed boogeyman of Staten Island's urban mythology is called Cropsey. It used to be said that Cropsey haunted the area at night and would drag wayward boys and girls to their deaths in the ruins of the old Seaview Hospital. Parents would spook their children with tales and warnings about Cropsey. Go to bed early or Cropsey will get you. That sort of thing. But the Cropsey legend turned all too real in the 1970s when serial killer Andrew Rand allegedly began kidnapping the children of Staten Island. Though a suspect in 5 cases, Rand was ultimately only convinced for 2 of them, which was enough to earn him 50 years to life in prison. The next urban legend is Hellgate Bridge. Hellgate Bridge is a vast steel and stone construction that straddles the East River in New York City, and more than lives up to its name as it's haunted by ghostly trains that carry the souls of the dead. Local legend tells that the trains carry the souls of people who drowned or had their bodies dumped in the river. People who climb the bridge will often see strange lights from trains that never actually arrive, or spectral locomotives dragging cars full of lost souls. Mafia victims, old Dutch explorers, and suicide victims all sit next to each other in the carriage, sharing one last ride to the hereafter, or perhaps their souls trapped on the trains in a private sort of hell. Either way, the story is no less unnerving for its anachronisms. The next urban legend is the Loch Ness Monster. Lake Champlain is the 6th largest freshwater lake in North America, straddling the borders of New York on the west, Vermont to the east, and Quebec, Canada to the north. Its shores are home to numerous quaint New England towns and tourist hotspots, and the region brims with a rich history stretching back to pre-European settlement. The waters of Lake Champlain are hundreds of feet deep in some places and connected to the Atlantic Ocean through a network of rivers and smaller lakes, providing plenty of opportunities for mysterious swimming beasts to make their way into the area. And this seems to have been going for a very long time, as there's at least one monster known to be living in Lake Champlain. Local Native American cultures, including both the Abenaki and the Iroquois, shared legend of a lake monster with European explorers very early on, a creature that the Abenaki called Tatoscoke. The earliest recorded sightings of the beast is ascribed to none other than Samuel D. Champlain himself, the man after whom the lake is named. In 1609, he reportedly witnessed a 20-foot serpent thick as a barrel and a head like a horse. Encounters with Champ, or Champy, as the monster is now called, continue to the present day. But perhaps the most famous sighting occurred in 1977, when Sandra Mancy photographed the monster while having a picnic with her friends and family. In the photo, Champ looks an awful lot like his more famous colleague Nessie, the Loch Ness Monster. However, it's important to note that he's been around a lot longer. Nessie was first spotted in 1933, more than 300 years after Samuel D. Champlain's encounter with Champ. So, by all rights, Champ should be more famous. The next urban legend is Plattsburgh Air Force Base. Plattsburgh Air Force Base in Plattsburgh, New York, has been associated with many strange occurrences over the years. But since it is no longer an active military base, its ghostly pedigree has been kicked up a notch. There are many haunted spots at the old base, including the old gym, which was once used as the base morgue, and where witnesses have heard screaming and pounding, and at the cemetery where ghost soldiers are said to march through the night. There have also been reports of spirits reenacting battles from the French and Indian War, and a Revolutionary War-era ghost who guards the base entrance. There's even a notorious Building 666, which once served as the base crematorium and now hosts a revolving door of soldierly ghosts according to reports by some security guards. The next urban legend is Ghost Ship. Since the days of Old New Amsterdam, local people in the Hudson Valley have been reporting a mysterious ship with no known flags that sails down the river, bringing violent storms in its wake. The ship often moves against the tide and nearly always appears to be without a crew. Then within a few hours of its passing, powerful thunderstorms rock the area. The ship's origins are unclear. Some believe it to be a remnant of the Half Moon, the ship that Henry Hudson himself piloted on his journey up the river. Others, especially the old Dutch settlers, believe it has been summoned by evil fairies to bring ruin and menace to the area's humans. Interestingly, there are no reports of the ship appearing just before Hurricane Sandy, though modern sightings do turn up from time to time. The next urban legend is Bigfoot. Most people associate Bigfoot with the Pacific Northwest, but in fact, there's evidence that the creatures are common in many stretches of pristine wilderness across North America, including the old forests of upstate New York that cluster around Lake Champlain in Essex and Warren counties. Many people have reported hairy wild man in the area over the decades, but one unlucky fella encountered Bigfoot close up twice in the span of just a few years, and both run-ins with the creature were terrifying. The first happened on June 25, 1989, when Scott David Harris and two friends were looking for one of their brothers, who was lost in the woods late at night. Walking along a railroad track that followed Lake Champlain's shoreline, they heard awful thrashing, growling, and metal-ripping noises coming from the south bank of the trail. And whatever it was seemed to hear them too, because the noises it was making stopped, and it came over to check them out. Harris couldn't get a good look at the creature in the dark, but as his friends ran off, he stuck around long enough to feel its breath and realize it was a huge, smelly beast. When he ran, it chased him, and only stopped its pursuit when Harris and his friends broke out of the woods and onto the nearby road. But Bigfoot wasn't done with Harris yet. A few years later, in 1993, Harris was parked on a trail near Westport, New York, with another friend waiting for a party to start when he saw a huge black hairy creature coming out of the woods and reaching for the car's rear door. Harris alerted his friend, who immediately drove away, and Harris saw the creature rear up in the car's light with glowing red eyes. The last urban legend is Flying Blob. Bigfoot isn't the only forest monster in the wilds of New York. There's also a flying blob. Most accounts of the Kinderhook monster come from the 1960s, and at least 6 different people claim to have encountered the creature. The being is described as an amorphous white shape that floated above the ground and maneuvered through the treetops in the woods near Kinderhook, New York. It was also capable of releasing a high-pitched whistling noise, which is what first drew the attention of witnesses to it. In one encounter, the blob creature watched 2 young children playing in the lake until they noticed it peering from behind a tree, and they ran away in fear. In a second encounter, a lone hiker saw it floating down the hill towards him and also ran in fear. He came back later armed and with a friend in tow, but numbers and weapons served them not. Both men saw the creature moving through the branches of the trees above them and again fled in terror. The third recorded encounter involved 2 teenage campers who described it as appearing as a bell-shaped white thing that was moving around outside their tent one night. Just after they spotted it, the creature fled into the woods, and it hasn't been reported since. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave a like. If you're not yet subscribed, please subscribe and turn the bell notification on so you know when I post. And let me know which story was the creepiest, scariest, or if you'll ever visit these places. Let me know down below. Bye-bye for now.